Hey, everybody, we're back. Okay, I know that we look a little different. Okay, but you know me, freaking fabulous cat
What are you talking
Corchado,
about? We
and
look different. I,
okay, I look a little different. And the amazing Yvonne Marchese. And Yvonne, what are we talking about today?
Fear.
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 So we're doing a little tongue in cheek only because it's October, Halloween is this month, and so we decided to come out freaking fabulous in my purple, of course, and Yvonne in her red. Yes, we did plan this, folks, just saying. And so we're having a little fun with it, but
Wouldn't it
we're
be
also
funny
going
if
to be
we hadn't
talking
planned it and we just
right. That would have been strange, but just saying. We're just going to be talking about fear. Now, we're talking about midlife fears here, not everyday fears. But Yvonne, what kind of thing or something, like, what are you afraid of? Okay, so I'll go first. I hate spiders and snakes. I know they have a purpose. I don't want to see them. I don't want to touch them. I don't want to look at them. Let them do what they need to do. They don't need to be in my house. I don't need to be around them. Can't take it. I'm serious. What about you?
What am I afraid of? Like just regular stuff. I get afraid. I'm afraid of something happening to somebody in my family. I get afraid of that. That's what I get afraid of. Yeah, if I see like a mouse or a rat or something, especially if it's ever in my home, yeah,
Well,
that'll get
yeah.
me for sure. Yeah, I'm afraid of a lot of things, Kat. I mean, really, I am. I got a lot of fear in my heart. I worry, and so what it does is I worry about the things that I fear. You
Mhm.
know, yeah.
And it's hard not to worry about things that haven't happened yet, or you know what I mean? You worry about
It's such a waste of time and
it is.
energy,
It is.
and I know that, and yet,
Mhm.
you know, like it's so ridiculous. But like, welcome to being human. Hello. Um,
Right?
yeah, I think we all do it. At least I like to think so. I guess the question is how do we push on through? How do we get through
Mhm.
it? And I will say, since we're talking about midlife fears, always been more afraid of. I've always been more afraid of growing old than dying. True story.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Like every time I get on a plane, I know there are people who are afraid of flying. I love flying. I think it's so cool. And when when the plane takes off, I always have this little recognition that it's like, "Oh, okay, this could be it." And and honestly, I'm good with it. Like I because I don't think it's likely. More than anything, I get fascinated.
Mhm.
Like, well, look at. I always like to get a window seat and look out the
Mhm.
window and just go, "Wow, this shit. Sorry, this works. This works. This
Mhm.
thing is going to go fast enough, and all the physics are going to work, and we're going to go up in the freaking air, and we're going to fly, and
Mhm.
we're going to be able to see down and look at things and be in the clouds." And like
Mhm.
my excitement over it way outstrips any fear I have of
Well,
it.
I heard this comedian once, and he said he was talking about when it's your time to go, and he goes, he talked about how he wanted to go, which we cannot discuss in mixed company. But he said, what if, some people are afraid of flying? He goes, what if I'm on a plane and it's the pilot's time to go? He goes, what happens to me? I was like, I never thought
I think
Oh
at
my
that point,
great.
we're
That's
all
one
kind of
more extra
cosmically
thing.
tied together, right? I honestly, I always say a little prayer before a plane takes off, and I'm like, "Okay, well, if this is the day, um, you know, I try to
Mhm.
leave my people's feeling good when I leave and hope for the best, you know?"
Yeah. And
Um,
hope that you've done everything you wanted to do. So if anyone's listening, what's your midlife fear? What is something that you're just, ugh, it gives you that thing in the pit of your stomach where you just go, oh, I think one of mine is not not being able to get around on my own, like where people have to
yeah.
help me around and I can't do for myself,
That is
you know?
exactly why I've been afraid of getting older. That is
Mhm,
at the crux of it, is like the thought of losing independence, the thought
mhm,
of not being able to do what I wanna do if and when I wanna do it,
mhm,
having to rely on somebody to take care of me. Those things scare me
mhm,
big time. But I'm trying to, as I look at aging with this whole late bloomer living journey I've been on and really digging into, well, why am I afraid? Really, why am I afraid? And can I change my relationship to the possibility that that could happen? I'm going to take the best care of myself that I can
mhm,
so that I hopefully stay healthy for as long as I am alive. But if something out of my control happens and that happens, how could I like to think about, like, how can I embrace it somehow? Like having to accept help from a caregiver. How can I embrace, okay, well, if I can't, let's say if I lose my eyesight and I can't be a photographer anymore,
mhm,
what else might I do? And if there's one thing I know at 55 years old, it's that I am resilient, that some stuff has happened in my life and I have gotten through it and I am resilient. And whatever's coming down the pike, I have to trust
mhm.
in that resilience that I know is there and know that, oh, I'll probably figure something. I may not like it when it happens.
But I
Um,
think you make it sound so like, "Oh, I'll just do this." But and the only reason I say that is because as an athlete, if you have had your career ended because of an injury, that's a little bit hard to take. That's, because what do you do? Where do you go? You almost feel like you're not relevant. And that's what I feel about midlife sometimes, is that we're not seen as relevant anymore, that there's this ageism thing that happens to us, and we're not seen, we're not relevant, which is why we look the way we do today, folks. Just saying. We are forcing ourselves to be relevant. So,
to be ridiculous. I guess it's that's why I'm like really looking at this idea of aging playfully and how do we do that no matter what? Like, how do we approach it with a playful attitude? Like, how do we go about our daily stuff, even if we have some pain from arthritis or whatever's going on, right? Like, how
mhm.
can we incorporate play into our lives so that we've got some joy, we've got some fun, we've got, you know what I mean?
But again, I think it's mindset. Because, and here's what I mean. It's not like, oh, change your mind, blah, blah, blah. What I mean is, soon as we get a thing in our knee and we're like, oh, well, I am getting older. And then it starts this stair step down. I'm supposed to look a certain way. I'm supposed to wear my hair a certain way. I'm supposed to, I'm getting older. So now the aches and pains, and now the arthritis, and now this, and now that, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to be that. If my knee hurts, I'm like, I sat wrong, I did something wrong, I'm out of alignment. That's how I think,
Yeah.
and I don't ever want to be one of those people that sits down and says, you hear these people, oh, Yvonne, how's your arthritis? Oh, your arthritis, my arthritis is that. Oh, how's your bursitis? Oh, my bursitis. And we go back and forth trading, you know, ailments. I never
Ailments.
want to be that person. So I
Right.
think and I still want to be relevant. I don't care how old I get. And maybe it's just being relevant to my own family. And let's see.
Hey, John.
John says, just throwing
Welcome.
this out there with unavoidable caveat that this isn't intended to be a humble brag or worse. Sort of like, oh, my worst flaw. I'm such a perfectionist. That said, my worst midlife fear is the growing worry that as I get more comfortable with myself and my limited, not godlike, but still very real powers and influence, will I be able to make the kind of contribution that I have the capability to make? Sort of pre-word imposter syndrome. Ooh,
Ooh,
ooh.
right?
Now,
Pre-worried
now we have
imposter
to worry
syndrome.
about pre-worried
Holy,
imposter syndrome.
what the heck?
Thanks, John. You just added to my stress and my fear. But I love it when he said, where was that? That he was talking about, oh, like, not your worst voice. I'm such a perfectionist. Not godlike, but still very real powers. I love that.
Yeah.
Very real power. I think we have to just feel it within ourselves, right? That it's not other people that make us relevant. We make ourselves relevant.
Oh, man. That is it. We
Woo!
all have
Mic drop.
power. Every last one of yous has power that is there to be tapped into, regardless of what anybody else tells you you're capable of, regardless of what you've done in the past or haven't done in the past.
Mhm,
Like, you have the chance. And I love midlife because midlife, hopefully we've still got
mhm,
enough energy. We may
mhm,
not have quite as much as we did in our 20s, but hopefully you've still got enough energy to be able to tap into it if there's something you want to do. And
mhm,
this is like an opportunity right now to step in. You may have 20 or 30, 40 years ahead of you. What are
mhm.
you going to do? Are you going to sit around and go, oh, I missed that chance? Oh, well.
Well, I think midlife is a transition. And it's funny because I was speaking with someone yesterday in your networking event, Yvonne, and she was talking about how, there's a transition in midlife, but there's also a transition, when I got out of the military to becoming a civilian. So when it came to midlife, I won't say I knew all the answers, but I recognized what it was, that this was another transition. And so it wasn't any easier, I'm going to say, but I did recognize it. I didn't feel like I was just out there in the middle of the ocean without a life jacket. I felt like, okay, I have something I can use, that I recognize this midlife thing because it's another transition, but it just depends on how you look at that. What does that mean to you? What does transition mean to you? Transition into midlife. Does that mean I'm upping the ante? Am I taking my 45 miles per hour and then upping it to 55? Because that's what I feel has happened to me. What does that mean? Are you doing more? Are you going to do less? Because a lot of people said, oh, it's time to slow down. My mother tells me all the time, well, you're getting older and you need to slow down. And I'm like, why?
Well, and here's a thought too. For some people, it may be time to slow down, and that should be
Mhm.
okay too. Like,
Sure.
we have such a our society has such a go 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 grind hustle kind of thing, and maybe if that is what you've been doing up to now, maybe if you want to pull back, maybe it's about going inside, going deeper. Maybe
Mhm.
that's the exploration.
But I
Maybe,
think the key
right?
word there, Yvonne, is decision.
Mm,
Not other people
yeah.
saying you should do that, you should slow down. When you've made that decision to say, I'm pulling back, that's power right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's being relevant. I'm choosing to slow down, or I'm choosing to start a business, or I'm choosing to run a marathon, or whatever that is. Yeah, you have to recognize it and say, okay, I'm choosing, I'm making the decision. And Yvonne and I had a conversation, that I have this I have this fear of big numbers. Okay, what do I mean? When we bought our place, when we bought our home, and they said, "Oh, here's how much the It's like my heart starts doing this. I start sweating, I start hyperventilating, but I recognize it for what it is. I just have to talk myself and say, look, this is what y'all are doing. We got this. And I've got this. I'm buying a new vehicle. I got this. Okay. And the big numbers scare me. They've always scared me because I've always had this fear of never having enough money. And so I was watching, if anyone out there loves documentaries, there's a Bill Russell documentary. He used to play for the Boston Celtics. And and this is what stuck with me. He had gotten hurt. And back in the day, they did not pay players if they were hurt, if they couldn't be on the court. And someone said, well, I guess you're poor now. And he said, poor is a state of mind. He said, I'm broke, and broke is a temporary situation. I was like,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So that kind of changes. It shifted how I think about buying this new vehicle. It kind of shifted on top of the fact that, I just freaking deserve it. I'm just going to say.
You do. You've worked freaking hard. And, when the old car starts to go, you have earned it. Damn straight,
Yeah, I
and
do.
you got this, right?
I do. I have this.
Oh, I'm thinking about, that reminds me. It's just saying you got this. I remember going skiing a couple of years ago with my kids. They're Boy Scouts, and we had I'm not a skier, by the way. And the year before I had taken them up, they go once a year with their troop, and they get a deal and all the things, and the parents can go. And that previous year, I don't know, I wasn't feeling good. And I was like, well, I'm not skiing. I'm too old. That's what was going on in my head, right? And I found something else to do during the day. It was a nice day. The next time we had a chance to go, it was actually the February of 2021. So there was still like COVID. There were COVID protocols in place. We had to wear masks with ski goggles. I'm just going to tell you right
On
now,
the
that is
slopes, really?
not a good combination. Yeah, going in and
Oh,
so I don't have
man.
any ski gear. So we did rentals and the whole thing. And I got on the baby slope, and one of the dads is a skier, and he was like, I didn't take a lesson. I've taken lessons before here and there, gone once or twice. And he was like, okay, I'll take you through it. He's like, so left to go right, right to go left. That's the main thing you need to remember. Okay. And I'm like, okay. And
That means nothing to me. I'm
so
like, what?
if you turn, I guess if you lean, so I'd have to be there doing it again. But I just remember in my head that's what he
Oh,
told
you
me.
got to lean left to go right and lean
Yes.
right to go. Oh, gotcha. Okay, I got it
Yeah.
now. I got it now.
And so we did the bunny slope for a little while, and then we decided to, okay, I was feeling all right. All right. John went with me. My husband went with me. We decided, okay, let's go get on a medium style, challenge thing. We go, and as I jump on the lift, I dropped one of my poles. And I'm like, it did it. What? Wait. I'm yelling back at the guy on the thing. I'm like, I dropped my, And so I've got one pole, and I am flipping out. The
I
ski,
bet.
the fog on the glasses, everything. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be at the top of a mountain. I'm not going to have a pole. How the heck am I going to get down? I was literally panic mode was
Mhm.
hitting me as I was going up the slope. And John's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be, he was so patient. Oh my goodness. I could not stop. I'm like, why wouldn't they stop for it? They couldn't hear me. So
Right.
we get up there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Now, this is where the fear of dying, yeah, maybe. I think I was more afraid of hurting myself than dying, frankly. But anyway, so I've got one pole, and I'm like up there, and I'm like, and we get we go there, and John's trying his best to stay with me, but he's a better skier than I am. He's trying his best to stay with me, and eventually he's just like, he can't hold back, and he's just down the hill, and I'm there all by myself, and we get to a part, and the hill really starts to go down, and I got my one pole, and I'm like, and I just started telling myself, you got this, you got this, you got this. You got this, you got this, you got this. Left to go right, right to go left, left to go right, right to go left, left to go right, right to go left. You got this, you got this, you got this. I literally was like, I would not let myself look down the mountain. It was
Right.
just look in front of you just far enough so you don't hit something. And I coached myself through the fear and the panic. And I got down to the bottom
And you made it.
and I made it. And I found my pole. And I was like, okay, I can call that the end of the day here because it was a little traumatic, or I can get my butt back up that hill and do it again. And so I was like, I can't end the day like this. So we went back up the hill, and I think we ended up going like 2 or 3 more times, and I actually started having fun.
Well, girl, if you did it with one pole, two poles should have been cake.
I realized that the pole wasn't even a factor. You don't ski with a pole. You ski
Now, if you said I skied down with one ski, I'm like, oh,
right?
okay.
The poles
Gotcha.
are there like to if you fall, I guess
I
if
know,
you
but
can.
if you're new, then
Yes.
I get it. But your fear was real,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So you can, face everything and rise, like
Mhm.
you did. A lot of people have been like, nope, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Just like with other stuff, but how much of our midlife fear is stuff that we put on ourselves? You know what I mean? How much of it is what we're told by our parents, how we grew up? How much of it is what our friends and family are telling us? How much of it is what we see on TV every day, what we read on our phones, tablets, computers every day?
Yeah.
How much of it is that too?
Uh,
You know what
uh,
I mean? Does it
most
exasperate
all.
yeah, that exacerbate the problem, the fear, do you think?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's just like we are steeped in this culture of that says aging is bad, getting old is bad. Well, guess what? We're all aging and we're all getting old, and it's not bad. It just
Mhm.
is.
It's just different.
It's just different,
Yeah.
and we just need to adjust our relationship to that, and that is hard work. That is not, one and done. It's not like you're gonna
Mhm.
have a little epiphany and all of a sudden it's all smooth sailing from there. I'm still afraid of growing old, but now I know I'm afraid of growing old, and I can catch myself in thoughts that don't serve me.
Mhm.
And then I can make a choice. Well, is that really real? That fear that I have, is that real?
Mhm.
What is the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You
So
know?
you start to rationalize it a little bit because, I mean, remember when you were in your 30s and you thought 50 was old,
Mhm.
and then you got to 50 and you're like, okay, this is cool. This is okay. But there are also freedoms that come with, whatever that fear was. And then you get to that point and you go, oh, this isn't as bad as I made it out to be,
I feel better
you
now
know?
at 55 than I felt all through my 40s. And I'll tell
Mhm.
you right now, it is because all through my 40s, that's when I started looking in the mirror and going, "Who is that old lady?
I know,
Where what is that pooch coming up?" What is and picking myself apart and looking at
Mhm.
it and going, oh, no, that is not how I feel." And but the more I talk to myself to tell myself I was old, I was getting old, I had a whole host of, like, I had bursitis, Kat, you brought up bursitis earlier. I
Mhm.
had bursitis, and I was like, "Man, well, if nothing's gonna make you feel old, it's somebody telling you you have bursitis." You know? It's like, "Oh, and bunions.
Uh,
Bunions on my feet." I was like, "I have bursitis and
and
bunions. Are you kidding me?" You know? But,
no.
okay, so I have bursitis and bunions.
Mhm.
Okay. E eh, and I feel so much better now because I take better care of myself, because my
Mhm.
self-talk is a lot healthier than it used to be.
It is because, but it has to be, right?
Yeah.
Because, before it was, "Oh, I'll deal with that then," and now you're dealing with it, and you almost have to shift. It's almost a requirement to shift. But let me
Maybe
change.
that's the hidden gift of getting older, is that we're required to shift.
Yeah, but what happens if you don't?
Mm. What do you
Where
mean?
are you if you don't shift your mindset?
Mm.
It's either it's this or what else is there? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I think one of the things that I always feared and still fear is the fear of regret or missed opportunities, you know. But what I think about now is that, my husband and I have been married 29 years, and we always say, "Oh, I wish we had met each other sooner." And I said, we weren't ready for each other then. Timing has been huge in my life for everything. And so
Absolutely.
when I started my business last year, and I was like, why didn't I start it at 55? Why didn't I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready mentally, or however ALLY you want to put in there. I wasn't ready. So I think timing is huge. Regardless of when it comes to you, it's time for you to take that step. And you'll know it because your body goes, "Yep, let's do this." Every time I get a year older, it's not like I go, "Oh, now it's time." My body goes, "Yeah, I think it's about time that we did this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Well, you're listening to that instinctual thing, right?
Mhm.
I think so much of it is about staying curious about ourselves, and being able to hear that inner voice
Mhm.
and not squash it
Mhm.
with all the things that we've heard, all the things that we've been telling ourselves for years. I mean, so many of the fears that we're probably carrying around at this point are probably fears that we have had our whole lives from the time we
Mhm.
were kids and something happened and we made
Mhm.
decisions about ourselves that, based on limited information, the little bit of information that we had at that age and that experience, right? And
Yes.
so we're carrying around these ideas about ourselves, like
But it was still very real, Yvonne.
yeah, and it gets
Very
more
real.
and more real the more we tell the
Mhm.
story.
Mhm.
That's where it gets
Mhm.
more and more and more real, and, like, the story about myself that I don't use time wisely because I could never get a good grade on that on my report card, right?
I'm not even sure what that means anymore. What does that mean? I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. All I know is, yeah, maybe I am a little
Mhm.
ADD, that I'm kind of coming to realize that about myself, and maybe that is actually my superpower, because when I get focused on what
Mhm.
I'm interested in, I can go real deep
Mhm.
onto the focusing on that stuff. It's like,
Mhm.
I may lose track of, housework.
Uh, who likes doing that anyway? I think also that sometimes your fear's younger. So you know that I had a fear of dying at around age 8 or 9. Don't ask me where it came from, but back in the day, 30 was considered old, okay? And I thought
What
that where did I get the like,
like,
I'm like,
what just
"Oh,
happened? You had
old."
confetti going.
Oh, maybe somebody like, I love it. Do it again. Whoever did it, do
How
it
did
again.
that happen? That was so cool. I wanna know how to do it.
And it wasn't until I was older, and I just happened to have a conversation with someone. I was actually in Germany. I was a military wife at the time with my son, and I was playing on the basketball team. And I was 19, I believe. 19. And we were talking about age, and there was this young, vibrant woman, and she was our guard. She played guard for our basketball team, and we were talking about age, and they were said, "Talk to such and such," and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm 32," and I went, which is where it went. Okay, if I keep moving, I'll stay younger, which is where my career started here. It didn't start then. It started way after I was already in the military, but it started it going here. And I started changing my perspective, and that fear turned into something else. So it's like being on the roller coaster. You're like, I'm scared of roller coasters. Have you ever been on a roller? No. Then how do you know? Until you've been on the roller coaster. So it's that same Yvonne. You're like, I got this. I got this. I can do this. Go right to go left to go right. But you know what I mean? It's like, I got this. I got this. When I went to I talked about buying a new car. I went to the dealership by myself. I always felt like I had to go with my husband, not because I wanted him to negotiate, but I knew exactly what I wanted. This is what I want. He's like, do you want this car? No, I want this one. Well, I'm not sure if we have that one. Okay, fine. I'll wait for it. If not, I'll get something else. But it's being adamant. It's doing all the things you need to do, instead of complaining, oh, this hurts, that hurts, are you exercising? Are you taking your vitamins? Are you eating right? It's all the things, you guys. It's all the things. If you plan to be here in 20 years, then what you do today doesn't show up today. It shows up later in life.
Yeah, this is our big chance to make
Mhm.
a difference for our future self. I read something. I love the idea of the future self.
Mhm.
And there was some study that they did that said that people cannot relate to their future self as them. They can't see, like, a lot of people can't relate to the idea of so me at 80, it's almost hard for the human mind to picture yourself as still as that 80-year-old person. Do you care about them? Let's say they are a different person. Do you care
Mhm.
about that 80-year-old and what their experience is? Because what you're doing today is going to affect that 80-year-old,
Exactly. But I think
right?
it's that state of mind again. It's that, where do, because at 80, I'm gonna look just like this. Um,
Of course you are.
just saying, but that's my plan. I don't know what y'all's plan is, but that's my plan.
You're gonna be rocking it like Cher. You're
Yeah.
gonna be just like,
But I also see, then now I just lost my train of thought. Dang it. I hate when that happens a lot, Yvonne.
"That's what I'm here for."
Oh man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I do. And see, now it's totally gone. I hate when that happens. It was there. It's like, hello and goodbye. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, no, come back.
I have a question. So I'll ask you a completely different question, and that's probably gonna come back around to you.
Okay.
All right. So you I'm just going to say you come across as a very confident person. You
Mhm.
come across as a badass, okay?
Ooh,
The yeah, yes. You're freaking fabulous, right?
of course.
So my question to you is, like, I think people see other people who like you look very confident, and they think that they just are. That they just don't have fear.
That's not true.
So, how is it that because I know you've got fears, right?
Mhm.
We've just talked about several of them. How do you move through fear? What are your things that you've discovered for yourself over your lifetime?
Is being okay with whatever the outcome is. So what I mean by that is when I went to the dealership, and I'm sorry I keep coming back to the car, but this is a great analogy.
And it's
As
happening now,
and
and
it's
it's a big
mhm.
number, and you got the fear, right? I get
So I
that.
went there
Yeah.
by myself, did my thing, came back. I could pick up the car today. When I went there, I said, several things are going to happen. One, I get the car. Two, I don't get the car. Three, the car is unavailable. And I was okay with all of those. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, what if I don't get it? And worrying. That's what we do when we're younger. It's like, well, what if this happens? Isn't it? it's okay. Just like when I started my business, what's the worst that could possibly happen? It's a bad idea. Maybe I need to tweak the idea. You know what I mean? It's being okay with the outcome. You know, if I stopped working out today and I ended up, you know, frail, and I have no one else to blame but myself. But I'm trying to set everything in motion for when I do get older, that I put all those stones in place so that I'm exactly where I need to be, and being okay with what that outcome is, because I've done everything in my power as far as I know, to be in that spot at that time. So I think for me is just going, okay, being adventurous, being playful, being open, I think is, you know, if I had never touched that button to publish my podcast, which is scary, y'all, I'm just going to say, I
Oh
did
yeah.
all the work. And that's what I sat there and said. My fingers hovering over the over the publish button. And I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? This is what I wanted to do. I did it. My goal is for one person to hear my podcast and like it, and it changes them in some way.
Yeah. Oh, you're taking me
Publish.
back. Oh my gosh. You're taking me back to when I was a new photographer, Kat, and
Mhm.
I would go to a session and I was brand new. And I'll tell you, I made mistakes at every freaking session. I still do. I still make mistakes and I look at them, I'm like, rookie mistake. Oh my gosh. I've been doing this for like 15 years, right? I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Ugh. Um, but I would learn something from every mistake. And I got to the point where so I would be all jacked up and all nervous going into a session, headshot session, family session, whatever it was.
Mhm.
And there came a point in time where I had done enough of them that I would go, "Oh, I have a session today." Whereas, years before, I'd be up all night, like, worrying, nervous, nervous, nervous,
It's that
fearful.
confidence muscle.
It is, and so the more you do it and so, like, same thing with the
Mhm.
podcast, like you said, that first time you hit that button,
And you're
you know?
sweating. You're like,
Oh my gosh. Real, right? It's so real. Um, I think about getting back on my skates recently too. That was scarier than I expected it to be. I was excited to get back on my skates, but I'll tell you, man, I put them on and the first time I stood up, I was like, "Oh, holy crap. Thank God I got pads and a helmet."
mhm.
Because and then here's the funny thing, I was wobbly as heck on my skates and that was a complete surprise to me. I just thought I'd get on and skate like I
And just,
used to when I was a
ah.
kid. Oh, no problem. I was so wobbly and scared, and I had to I had to go slow. I had to, do it in short bursts. I was like, "Okay, 10 minutes on my skates today, 15 minutes on my
Mhm.
skates today," whatever,
That's what I did
and I
and
did
still do.
fall.
Oh,
I
I did
did
too.
fall, and no boy, I took a good fall one day. I like, whoo, bam, all the way into the back of the head. Thank goodness, wearing a helmet, back of the head, whack. And it was a good resounding whack on that helmet. And I was like, I got up and I was like, I feel totally fine.
But
Like I
here's the
didn't
thing,
hurt anything.
Yvonne,
I didn't break anything. And
because
that
if you
gave me
had
confidence.
gotten, yes, but if you had gotten those skates and said, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, you would have fallen every time you put those skates on. But when you think about the outcome, what outcome do you want? I think it gets you further ahead. Have I fallen in my skates? Yes, twice. But if I kept saying, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, guess what? I'm going to fall. If I start a business, I'm like, it's not going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. If Yvonne had said,
And that's no fun too,
I
telling
can't
yourself it's
get
not
down
gonna
that
work.
hill with one pole, she wouldn't have gotten down that hill. So I think you have to look at it and just go, I got this. I may go
Every day.
slow.
I
I'm
got
going to make some mistakes, but I got this. I
yeah,
think we need shirts that say that. I
yeah,
got this.
I got like it. I think we do too. Oh my goodness, I think it's getting time to wrap up, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
How
It's
did that happen?
but it's interesting to think of, and I want to put this out there that sometimes it's not until you get into midlife that you start fearing things. Like you don't think about it, you don't think about it. And the first time someone ma'ams you, yes, thank you, ma'am. Don't ma'am me. Don't you know who I am? Don't you dare ma'am me.
Yeah, that's always
Thank
a little
you.
shocking, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness
And
gracious.
then you start to feel, okay, this is happening, but I think that when younger people see how relevant we are in what we're doing and what we're saying in our speech to ourselves, that they start to see that and go, oh, okay.
It's one of my biggest goals for the work I'm doing, Kat, is
Mhm,
that younger people are gonna change how they feel about us,
mhm,
first of all, and,
mhm,
not pigeonholing every old person they see into cute little old person or
mhm.
useless old person or whatever is the doc, but because every time they're thinking that about somebody older, they're eventually going to be thinking about that about themselves, and they're eventually going to limit themselves, and they
Mhm.
don't know that yet, but that's exactly what ends up happening is you're
Yeah.
ageist against other people until you're and then all of a sudden you're
Then you
ageist
become
against
ageist
yourself.
against yourself. Yeah. Ooh, Yvonne, that's huge.
Yeah,
you know but also not, I think, not limiting yourself. Your age is just a way to chronologically tell how old you are. It has nothing to do with what's here you
right.
know it's
And
just
it's
it's
different
just a
for
thing.
everybody.
Yes,
So one person's 55, one person's 65, totally personal to them, and how you wanna age is completely up to you. There's no police on this thing. There
absolutely.
right? This is your choice. You get to decide what
I'm
you
trying
want
to
to look
defy
like.
everything you know I want to be on a podcast and be like, I'm the freaking fabulous cat Corchado at age 80.
Yes. Oh, you will. I can see it. I can see it.
Oh my gosh. So Yvonne, so folks, we are now doing this twice a month. So when is our next one, Yvonne?
Our next one is November 3rd, and we're gonna be talking about aging playfully. So
Ooh,
I'm excited about that because that's
yeah.
my jam. Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's more fun to age playfully than to just, and I hate being pigeonholed. People are like, oh, I didn't know you were that old. And I'm like, what does that mean? Putting you in that old box. Don't pigeonhole me. I hate that. I'm an individual. I am who I am. And I don't want to be pigeonholed, which I think is what sparks me to do different things. Because you know now keep in mind, if I don't do something, it's because I just don't want to do it. Like I've said before, I will never ever go bungee jumping because I just don't want to.
Man, we agree on so much. But I'll jump out of that plane with you, Kat.
I know that would be fun, Yvonne. It would be so much fun. So until next time, you guys, it's been so nice, talking. It's always fun with Yvonne, and I hope you enjoyed our little ensemble that we've had, for
Little
Halloween.
devils,
I
that's
little
us.
devils because
Little
we
salty
are.
sisters.
I know. But it was just a good time. We were just like, let's be something that people don't expect us to be. So that's why we decided to come in a little Halloween garb, because we're a little salty, we're a little sassy, we're a little devilish, which I think which is what helps keeps us young and relevant, right?
Mhm.
All right, guys, thank you for listening. There'll always be replays if you want to listen in, but come back and we'll see you in November. All right,
Bye.
bye.